We are in 2028, and for a long time, the multinational company Omnicorp has been providing advanced drones to the army, aiming to ensure security worldwide. These drones have scanners that can detect if someone is dangerous or not. TV presenter Novak thinks these robots should replace the police in American cities, but many people are afraid of this. The government also disagrees with having law enforcement agents that can't feel emotions. To show his point of view, Novak invited a military leader to explain how the robots work. They also sent a reporter to the Middle East to show the robots working live on TV. The reporter filmed the city to show how the robots don't harm innocent people, only those who appear to be dangerous. But the residents didn't like having their homes dominated by robots, so a group of rebels attacked the robots with heavy weapons. This caused a big battle, with robots destroying buildings and drones flying and shooting at the rebels. Some rebels tried to knock the robots off the rooftops, and in the midst of the chaos, a frightened boy holding a knife was killed by a robot because the scanner considered the knife a threat. Novak defended the robot. He doesn't care. The knife was raised regardless of who it was. He's a killer and said it was necessary for the city's safety. Hey, the movie I'm going to summarize today is called RoboCop. You might be thinking, a robot movie? Seriously? But this movie is so good that it's worth summarizing. I invite you to stay until the end. You won't regret it. But first, subscribe to the channel to receive the best summaries. Meanwhile, at the police station, Detective Alex is going to talk to his boss, who wants an explanation about the incident his corrupt colleagues are accusing him of. Alex tells her everything. Last night, he and his best friend met with some criminals for an undercover operation. They tricked a drug dealer into revealing some illegal weapons and arrested him on the spot. However, when Alex went to check the locker where they kept the evidence later, the weapons they had seized had disappeared, and no one had registered their removal, which means a corrupt cop took them. Later, Alex and his partner disguised themselves again and met with the gang leader in a restaurant, but they were interrupted when the leader received a call alerting him that Alex was a cop. The leader immediately left the restaurant and sent his men to kill the cops, starting a shootout everywhere. The two cops quickly shot back, but were clearly outnumbered, so when they saw an opportunity, they tried to escape through the back alley. Alex managed to get out without problems, but unfortunately, his best friend was shot in the process. After hearing the story, Alex's boss scolds him for going in with his chest out and says she'll take care of the search for the corrupt cop. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., the head of Omnicorp, called Sellers, is trying to convince the government that robot cops are a good idea, but the senators disagree again. Later, at Omnicorp headquarters, Sellers has a meeting with his team to discuss how to make people accept robots on the streets. The senators keep saying that robots can't have feelings, so he concludes that they need to combine a real human with a machine. Meanwhile, in a special clinic, Dr. Norton is helping his most recent patient adapt to his new hands. Norton specializes in robotic prostheses that work based on the user's own emotions, so the patient needs to learn to focus on his mechanical hands to play the guitar. The practice is interrupted by Sellers, who speaks with Norton privately and convinces him to create a human with machine parts. Norton meets with Sellers' team to discuss their options, but all the retired cops have had their wounds for a long time and are too emotionally traumatized to return to work, so they need to find a more recent case. In another part of the city, Alex's rude colleagues reveal themselves as corrupt cops and warn the gang leader that the police department is after him. To end this investigation, they'll have to erase Alex. Later, while Alex is visiting his best friend in the hospital, a criminal plants a bomb in his car. At night, Alex returns home and spends time with his son David and his wife Clara. When they're about to go to sleep, Alex hears his car alarm go off and goes to check outside. As soon as he approaches the car, the vehicle explodes, leaving him severely injured. As soon as Omnicorp finds out about this, they call Clara to their offices and make an offer. They'll give Alex a fully mechanical body so he can live. Clara is unsure, but they describe all the horrible injuries Alex had, saying that if she doesn't decide soon, Alex will die shortly. Clara has no choice but to accept. 3 months later, Alex is seen happily dancing with his wife at a party, but then the image starts to get strained. The scientists show Alex's new form, which is almost entirely mechanical, but the brain is still human, so he's remembering the past bit by bit. When they finally wake Alex up, he's confused and upset. Norton reminds him of what happened and helps him take his first steps with the new body. The body feels strange to Alex, and when he hears the word amputee, he panics and asks them to remove the suit. Norton tries to calm him down, but Alex pushes Norton away and runs out, pushing anyone who tries to stop him. He runs very fast and jumps over the wall effortlessly. Norton decides to shut him down remotely to stop him. Alex wakes up again in the laboratory, and Norton shows that he has many mechanical parts, but some parts are still organic. Alex believes it would be better to die than to be a machine, but Norton explains that Clara asked for the procedure, and his family is waiting for him. Norton allows Alex to speak with Clara on the phone, but he only shows his face for now. Clara thinks he's still handsome and can't wait to meet him. Now that Alex agrees, he stays in the laboratory to be cared for. The next day, he trains with Rick, who takes care of Omnicorp's military robots. Rick thinks including a human in the project is a waste of time and resources, but he still gives weapons to Alex. They do a simulation where Alex and a robot need to save civilians and face criminals. Alex is slower than the machines because he takes a moment to feel before acting. Later, Alex uses a computer to follow the case of the gang leader. Sellers is not satisfied with the simulation and wants to improve Alex's appearance. In the laboratory, the doctor modifies Alex's brain so that he thinks he has free will, but the machine acts for him. Alex goes through a transformation, and now his armor is black and elegant. They test Alex against Rick and an army of robots, and he defeats them all with impressive reflexes. One by one, all the robots fall, and in the end, only Rick is left standing. Then, Alex fires at his armor to win. He is very skilled and has no idea that the machine is making the decisions, so the experiment is considered a success. Norton takes Alex home to see his family. Clara hugs him, and David is happy to see him. Alex promises to catch the people who hurt his friend. Sellers wants to introduce Alex to the public at an event, and Norton transfers many files to Alex, which is difficult to process. When Alex sees the recording of his car explode, he has a seizure and faints. Norton didn't want to do the press conference today, but the Omnicorp team insisted. With no choice, he sends everyone away except his assistant and suppresses Alex's emotions so that he looks like a real cold robot. Now they can download the database without problems. At the presentation, Alex focuses only on his work and ignores his wife and friends, seeing everyone as criminals or civilians, not as loved ones. When he goes on stage, his scanner identifies all the faces in the crowd until he finds a criminal near the police. He acts quickly and catches the criminal without hurting anyone, making people admire him. On TV, Novak uses this to show that robots are better, as the police didn't even notice the criminal next to them. But Clara is upset because she can't talk to Alex and realizes that he doesn't have a real life. Norton tries to calm her down, saying it's just a side effect of the medication and that he'll get better. The next day, Alex returns to work and promises to catch 13 criminals. Using the database and cameras, he finds drug dealers and takes one of them down, getting information about their base. He confronts the criminals and seems invulnerable to bullets. Omnicorp is happy with the results and gives Rick more control to monitor Alex if necessary. Over time, Alex becomes a hero in the city, fighting crime everywhere. Novak highlights this and convinces Sellers to appear on his show to explain to the senator that public opinion is changing. The corrupt cops plan to deal with Alex, who is interfering with their business. Later, Clara tries to get close to Alex and asks him to show some emotion. She asks Alex for help because their son is having nightmares and needs him as a father. At first, Alex doesn't seem to care much, but while driving, he starts to worry about the problem as a careful cop. He checks security footage and discovers that David saw the car explode, which left him very scared. Upon learning this about his son, Alex becomes really upset in his heart, and his mind begins to undo that thing that took away his emotions. He's angry that his family has suffered because of him and is determined to fix everything. The people in the laboratory notice this change through Alex's tracker and think about shutting him down, but Norton wants to see what will happen. After all, technically Alex is still solving a crime, which is his own. Alex goes home and, by accessing all the cameras, reconstructs the day of the attack and sees his wife and son at the moment the explosion happened. With the few clues he has, he goes after a guy who worked with the gang leader, pulling him out of the car through the window and breaking his hand. Alex presses the hand to make him suffer more, and the criminal ends up giving the phone number of the gang leader's driver. After tracking the signal of the last call, he discovers exactly where the gang's base is. As Alex heads there, the cops at the station discover that he's out solving his own crime, and soon the gang leader finds out that Alex is after him. When Alex arrives at the base, the criminals are ready to face him in the dark, with night vision goggles and heavy weapons. Alex enters on a motorcycle and uses night vision to start a shootout. No matter how many criminals are there or how many shots they fire, Alex has no problems going through the base, shooting anyone who gets in the way until there's no one left alive. But this time, he also suffers some injuries in the process. Afterward, Alex restores power and collects samples of all the fingerprints on the weapons, which finally reveals which cops are corrupt. He rushes to the police station to interrogate the men and show incriminating images on all computers. One of the corrupt cops tries to attack Alex, who immediately shoots to defend himself. The other guy is very scared and says it was their boss who planned everything, but then Alex kills him with shots. After that, Alex goes to confront his boss and try to make her admit the truth, but then Rick shuts him down. Rick calls Sellers to say they can use this to their advantage, and soon after, Novak puts the incident on his show, showing that machines are better than people because they can't be corrupted. The next day, the government starts voting to bring robots to local police. But the broadcast is interrupted by Clara, who finally goes on the news and tells everyone that she couldn't see Alex and that no one from Omnicorp is answering her calls. Clara's involvement worries Sellers because she can make Alex human again, and then they can lose control over him, which can hinder the approval of the law. If they simply retire Alex, it will look like their experiments aren't good enough. So they decide to kill him so he becomes a tragic hero that people will remember fondly. Sellers tells Norton to do it, and when Norton refuses, Sellers convinces him by offering to fund his laboratory for 10 years. Norton ends up accepting, but only if Sellers also compensates Alex's family. After that, Sellers tells Rick to prepare the robots. While the law is approved by the senators, Sellers meets Clara and David and makes them think Alex is already dead. In the laboratory, Norton arrives and finds soldiers there wanting to see Alex, so he runs away while they shoot at him. Norton reaches Alex first and activates a button that makes Sellers think he's dead, but then Alex still wakes up. It turns out Norton removed his transmitter, so no one can see his vital signs and they can never shut Alex down again. After Alex quickly kills the two soldiers, Norton tells him the whole plot, and Alex decides he needs to kill Sellers, ignoring Norton when he tries to stop him. While walking through the streets on his motorcycle, Rick sees him from the car and warns Sellers, who is about to announce Alex's death lie. The guards immediately take them, along with Clara and David, to the roof to wait for a rescue helicopter. At this moment, Norton goes to the police to find Alex's best friend and asks for help. At the Omnicorp building, Alex encounters Rick's robots and several guards surrounding the place. Alex quickly takes down a guard to make the others surrender. Then he uses his motorcycle to enter the building and face the robots in a shootout. The robots are different from normal criminals. They are better equipped and protected. This makes Alex's fight against them difficult. He takes heavy shots, and when trying to stop a robot by jumping on it, he's thrown far and gets trapped under some debris. Alex manages to free himself by shooting, but with his leg injured, he becomes slow, and the robot starts shooting at him from behind. At this moment, a police truck invades the building, and Alex's best friend stands in front of him, making the robots stop shooting, as the robots don't shoot innocent people. This gives Alex the chance to escape through a back corridor. Further in the building, Alex finds Rick and tries to shoot him, but the system doesn't allow him to hurt Rick, as it was programmed not to shoot at Rick. Rick has fun shooting at Alex, and when he's about to kill him, Alex's best friend appears and takes Rick down first. Before dying, Rick shoots back at him, and Alex runs to check on his friend. Fortunately, the wound isn't serious, and they just need to wait for the ambulance. Then, Alex goes to the roof, and when the helicopter sees him, it flies away, leaving the group behind. Sellers is confident that Alex can't attack him, as he was programmed not to kill innocent people. But upon seeing Alex struggling against his programming, Sellers threatens to kill Clara and David as a precaution. This makes things worse because Alex's love for his family makes him ignore the programming, and he shoots anyway, killing Sellers before the man can retaliate. Alex falls to the ground, and his family runs to see how he is. But he reassures them, saying he's fine. Afterward, Norton returns the prototype body to Alex and informs him that he's now authorized to spend time with his family. Meanwhile, on television, reporters show that the government is now certain that robots should not be allowed on the streets, and the law is cancelled, especially when Norton agrees to testify and admit that everything he did was wrong. Novak is furious and vents in front of the cameras, reminding the public that the United States is still the greatest country in the world. So that's it. Leave that like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell until the next recap.